Disney's self-inflicted boy trouble. Uh-oh. Let me see this.
Every once in a while, I'll stumble on a news article so brain-meltingly, soul-crushingly stupid that the only socially acceptable response is...
Yeah.
Such was the case yesterday with this absolute corker from Variety, that always reliable bastion of respectable, impartial journalism. Disney's boy trouble. Studio seeks original IP to win back Gen Z men amid Marvel Lucasfilm struggles.
You had my curiosity, but now you have my attention.
Leadership at Walt Disney Studios has been pressing Hollywood creatives in recent months, multiple sources tell Variety, for movies that will bring young men back to the brand in a meaningful way.
Alright, you get the fat bitches out. You get hot chicks in there 100%. You make it about a man that's trying to save his family. The reason why is honor, tradition, his oath to his country, or some form of obligation that transcends him. And that's it. You don't have any, female... fucking like super expert that trains him. He gets trained by an older man that understands, like, to the extent that you put a girl in some sort of fucking authority position over him. Generally it's gonna be cringe as fuck. Don't have any like weird social messaging at all. Like, it's actually so easy. It's literally so easy. Just think about what would a young guy want to be able to... What would a young guy want to watch?
Oh, really? Tell me, why would you have to do something like that? I mean, you've spent years telling us that men are irrelevant now, that nobody needs or wants those mean, stinky boys polluting...
Yep, there it is, guys. And that's what happens. Is that you make this content, and you make this content for an audience that doesn't exist. Like, they think they can just shift Star Wars to being a girl franchise. You gotta be fucking retarded to believe that.
Why do you care about attracting men to your brand all of a sudden?
Thunderbolts of flop. Flop. No. Fuck.
And therein lies the rub, dear viewer. You might utterly despise men and everything they represent, but when it comes to that increasingly uncomfortable meeting with the accountants every few months, well, it turns out that you kind of need them. Especially young men, who seem to be quite a powerful demographic these days.
Well, they are. They're a massive demographic, and they also spend a lot of money, too. Like, the thing is that there's a lot of people that do this. The reason why is that they don't make shows for men anymore. That's the problem. They make them for general audiences. And if you want to make a show for guys, you have to make it for guys. And if a show is really, really good, it will transcend that audience. But you got to do it in that direction. Base chuds on top. No, I'm telling you, like, that's how it is.
Let's see what else this stunning and brave article has to say, shall we? Numerous studies show that Gen Z men in particular are a lonely, gaming-obsessed group who were hampered in their formative years by COVID-19 lockdowns. Oh, come on! Okay.
I think that's probably true, honestly. I think it is. A lot of guys that are younger, they definitely got one shot by COVID. Like, imagine graduating high school in 2019 or 2020. Like, you're set up in a situation now where you're totally fucking isolated from society. You spend those years where, like, you're supposed to be hanging out with your friends, like, after high school, like, in college or whatever, going to parties, and you spend all that, like, and you're fucking quarantined, literally. Yeah, that's gonna be a huge problem. That's gonna negatively affect people a lot. But, like, COVID multiplied mental illness in the country, I think, by 3x. I think at 3x mental illness. I don't think we've recovered from it either.
Okay, I'm gonna stop you right there before this COVID, journalistic retardation goes any further.
Real bad.
Let's be clear about one thing. Young men were not hampered in their formative years by the lockdowns or the patriarchy.
Well, I do think that they were. I do think lockdowns negatively affected everybody, and I think lockdowns were a factor. I do. But, like, sure. But, like, it's also women, too. I just think that, like, guys, you're a young guy. Like, do you really want to watch two girls that have every privilege in the world talk about how bad men are? Why the fuck would you want to watch that as a guy? Like, you just take a step back and just ask yourself the common sense, obvious question. Why the fuck do I want to watch a bunch of bitches sit around and talk about how I'm bad? What the fuck is wrong with you? Of course not. Yeah, it's some cuck simp shit.
They were hampered by an entertainment media complex that spent most of the past decade systematically trying to obliterate them from modern culture. Being berated, insulted, deconstructed, mocked, lectured, misrepresented, gaslit into believing their every natural instinct was wrong and evil, and simultaneously labelled as useless and irrelevant, but also somehow the cause of every negative thing that ever happens in the world, depending on which explanation is most expedient.
I'm so
it's so obvious, right? I mean, like, anytime that I see something like that, I immediately think it's gonna be garbage, bro. Like, I do. Like, I'm sorry, like, you thought Star Wars? Star Wars is basically just a medieval knight film with, you know, laser swords, okay? Like, where people are literally cutting each other's arms off. You think you're gonna make this into a story that girls like? What are you, fucking retarded? Like, really? How can you be that stupid?
I'm tired. I thought I just needed a night's sleep, but it's more than that.
And every single time they've dared to defend themselves or push back in this completely one-sided war, they've been dismissed as sexist, misogynistic idiots and bullied or attacked into silence.
The reason why anime and manga is so popular now is because, and this is the reason why games from China are growing so much, and like non-Western culture games are so popular, is that I think that there is a huge, like, I don't want to consume content that's made by people that have some sort of lingering resentment towards me. And I think that a lot of people feel that way. So I see something like this, and it's so obvious why it's happening.
Hopelessly stacked against them that not only can they never be allowed to win, but they'll be actively punished for even trying in the first place. They finally decided, fuck it, I'm just not playing anymore.
Why would you want to watch, like, for example, like, why would you want to watch She-Hulk if you could watch Demon Slayer? Or you could watch Vinland Saga as a guy? Like, there's literally zero reason to want to do that.
And they hit back with the most powerful weapon in their arsenal, their wallets. If companies like Disney decide to use their platform to beat young men over the head with the message that everything male is inherently
I think Solo Leveling is a great example. Like, Solo Leveling, this is the male power fantasy personified. It is. If you want, and it was the most, I think right now it's the most popular anime on Crunchyroll. Like, it's super, super popular. People love it. And so, really, I mean, so like, how is it that the Japanese have been able to figure this out, and you used to have this figured out, but now you forgot it? I think that the real truth is that they didn't forget it. They just don't want to accept that it's real. And I hope, like, I'm so proud of all of the young guys for just totally tapping out of this weird feminized cuck bullshit where they're constantly submitted to humiliation rituals, like Luke Skywalker turning into like fucking like goat milk eating like bitch boy. It's embarrassing.
Then I guess young men just won't watch their stuff anymore. It's not exactly rocket science, but holy fuck. This article and others like it will explore every possible explanation except the simplest and most obvious one. And I think we know why. It actually kind of reminds me of all those articles cropping up on feminist websites these days decrying the lack of male attention after those very same sites spent years—
Men just leave women alone. Okay?
Complaining about men being too forward, too assertive, too interested, too creepy, and gosh darn it, why can't they just leave us all alone?
Leave me alone.
Gee, I wonder why they're not interested in dating anymore. It's a total mystery to me too, ladies.
Well, it's because women want both. They want guys that they're attracted to pursue them relentlessly, and they also want guys that they're not attracted to never talk to them. Like, this is the issue that a lot of people have. And, like, you can see this dichotomy that's represented in a lot of these romance novels, where it's, like, usually an aggressive, assertive man, but this man just happens to be a billionaire vampire who happens to also be very attractive. Like, that's the difference.
The irony is that Disney already had access to some of the biggest and most successful male-focused brands in history. And yes, both Star Wars and Marvel were decidedly male brands.
100% for guys. Like, Star Wars is 100%, it's not even a question.
That doesn't mean the ladies couldn't enjoy them too, and many did in fact, but if I had to choose a gender most likely to gravitate towards a franchise about space battles, adventure, ships and technology, heroism—
And also, by the way, brutal violence where people are getting cut in half.
Yeah, it's gonna be men. And that right there is perfectly okay. Men are allowed to have stuff that they like, and a lot of the time, that stuff is going to be quite different from what women like. The problem is that only one side is ever expected to compromise and make concessions to accommodate the other, and
That's exactly the problem. He's totally right about this. It's that, like, anything that men like, men are expected to compromise and default to what women like. But I think that when men express that they like something, women usually attack them.
It's not women. Like, could you imagine for 1 second if they did a reboot of Sex and the City? Sorry, wait, another reboot. Only this time half the female characters were gender swapped, the glamour and sophistication of the New York social scene was replaced with muscle cars and guns and girls in bikinis, and every episode had to include some tedious subtext about how difficult modern life is for men to navigate. I don't think it would go down very well. But there seems to be this weird cultural taboo around the idea of male-focused anything now, like catering specifically to men as a demographic is some moral crime that has to be addressed.
That's exactly right. He's totally right about this. This is the issue, is that so many people, and I think that there's a lot of guys that do this too. The reason why I think guys play into this is actually extremely simple. I think they do it as a mating technique. This is guys that act like simps and like losers in order to make girls like them. They want to smash? Yeah, exactly. Like, guys don't act like this. Too many pussified men? No. The same guys that you think are pussified, like, I've had friends like this that grew up to be kind of like that. The moment that, like, we're outside of that spectrum, bro, we're saying slurs all the time. We're using slurs all the time. Bro, we're talking about, like, all kinds of shit that, like, you know, he's supposed to say, oh, no, that's not it. Yeah, immediately, bro. Instantaneously, factory reset back to 11th grade. Yep, they're undercover. Exactly.
In the case of those male-oriented franchise that used to be a license to print money because they used to understand their customers, the problem wasn't just the clunky attempts to court a female audience with a sudden influx of pandering, poorly written girl bosses who could magically do anything and were always right about everything. Even women hate.
That's the issue too, is that, like, also, like, the characters are just bad on top of everything. It's because the characters are bad because the writers self-insert themselves, except for nobody likes them.
No, the bigger problem was the active sabotage, marginalization, destruction, and outright pussification of the male characters to make—
Here it is. Yes. And so that's the issue, is that it's not a problem for you to make a movie or a story that is women-centric. But if you do that, and you also do it at the expense of male representation, and you make men look like they are incompetent. Like, this is a good question, right? How many of these, like, fucking comedies and, like, of these sitcom shows is the man in the sitcom intelligent, like, morally good, the provider of the household, and not the butt of every joke? Zero, basically, right? Zero. So there's always some way or another that usually the guy is a retard and the wife or the mother is the smart one that's measured and intelligent and normal. Yeah, they're always the punching bag. Yeah, that's the problem. And so a lot of guys don't like that. So would they rather watch that, or would they rather watch Spy Family? There you go. Easy fucking decision. Instant, easiest decision of your life. When do you think this started? 2014. It got really bad. That's whenever identity politics really got on the internet. You got a lot of, like, feminists on the internet causing trouble. And before that, I think it started getting bad.
I've been over this kind of thing a million times before, so I'm not going to bore you with all the examples like Han, Luke, Indiana Jones, Thor, Kylo Ren, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Nick Fury, and about 100 others I could name. The list of cultural assassinations is frankly mind-boggling at this point. The point, though, is that instead of becoming more accessible to women, these franchises instead became increasingly hostile towards men.
Yeah, it's not about making it appeal to women. It's about making it not appeal to men. And so they actively desexualize things, they actively work against and they subvert the traditional male fantasy. And guess what? A lot of guys don't appreciate that.
young and impressionable men who could really use some positive role models there too. Instead, they found themselves getting lectured, berated, and disrespected by a studio that seemed to actively hate them. And that's the funny thing about young men, you see. They can, and often do, put up with a lot of shit in their daily lives, but the one thing they won't put up is disrespect.
This is the other thing too, is like, especially nowadays, like young guys, if you were, this is the issue, right? It's like, if you're kind of like an average, like kind of a dumb guy, right? You're not really a super smart guy. You're like an 85, 88, 89, 93 IQ guy. Like, you could have gotten a job back in the day working and doing something and you'd be all right. But now a lot of those jobs are automated. And so you're getting patronized. And at the same time, like, women have a lot of these opportunities, especially when they're young, to make a lot of money, right? Things like OnlyFans. And again, it's not like every girl's doing OnlyFans. Of course not. But I think that it's the perception, the society expectation. Like, women nowadays, whenever they're entering the workforce, young women make a considerable amount more money than young men do in the workplace. Why is that? It is the direct effect of deliberate DEI initiatives to disenfranchise men and to empower women at their expense. That's the reason. It was never about equality. Equality was just one step on the stairway to supremacy. And that's what you have now. We hate corporate life as well. Yeah, that's why you have HR running everything and you're getting tone policed constantly because you say something in a way that hurts one person's feelings. It's ridiculous. And so, and I by the way, I just straight up say this shit. I know that some people are going to get mad that I say it as raw as I do, but somebody's got to. Somebody has to, and that's where it's at. Like, you know, like a lot of, you know, like male bonding and the way that guys act growing up, every way that guys act growing up that is in any way physical or has any friction or is coarse in any regard, this is all massively stamped down by schooling. And meanwhile, schooling is catered towards making it accessible and the most appealing for women. That's mainly what happens. Who pushes these changes? Women do, and men that want to fuck the women that do. That's the people that push the changes, primarily. And so anyway, now you have a lot of these guys, and so they're like, well, I'm getting fucked in my real life. I'm losing out on internship opportunities. I'm losing out on scholarship opportunities. I'm losing out on, you know, like this, that, and the other thing, a hiring process, because I'm not part of this group. Primarily, you know, like, again, do you want to know who the biggest beneficiaries of DEI are? It's not black people. It's white women. Those are the ones that are really winning out of DEI. They're the ones that are actually getting hired because of these processes. Yeah, it's fucking Karens. That's it. And so this is the Karen industrial complex, where men are systematically disenfranchised, demoralized, made fun of, and made to submit to humiliation rituals throughout their entire life. The media is just a further propagandized humiliation ritual. And at a certain point, a lot of men tap the fuck out and they go on the internet. That's why people are like this on the internet. And that's also the reason why, again, foreign types of media has become so popular with modern audiences. That's why anime is so popular. That's why something like Berserk is popular. It's popular because it's something that it's made for them as an audience. One Piece is made for guys. The guy who makes it says that. Shonen literally is like young boy anime in fucking Japan. So when you're making content that is deliberately antagonistic to a group of people, big surprise, they don't watch. I know this is maybe a rant, but I think it's true. It's very true.
Especially from a fucking company that wants them to part with their hard-earned money for their privilege. Add all these factors together, and you get a conclusion so simple and obvious that I can't believe I'm even having to say it, but here we are. When you decide to treat half your audience as the enemy, that's exactly what you turn them into. Yep. You really do get what you fucking deserve. And in this case, Disney deserves to lose half their audience because they gave them absolutely no reason to stick around. Rather than signing off with some smarmy little fuck you, I want to pull something positive out of this situation because it seems like even Disney are beginning to acknowledge how badly they've done wrong. Yeah.
I don't think that the modern studios will be able to recover from this, by the way. I don't think so. I think the only way that we can hope to get anything better in the next like 10 or 15 years at least is for new studios to emerge, because what I think happens is that these studios get infected with these groups of people and they totally take over the studio. They're like a cancer. And once you have enough of them, the studio is completely infected and it will never get better. I think a great example of this is Blizzard. Blizzard is never going to make a based badass video game again. They're never going to make a cinematic that even has 10% of the fucking testosterone that the Warlords of Draenor cinematic had. Like, it's not even going to be remotely close. It's dead. It's dead, and you can see that with the new cinematics. You've got elves that look like... Who the fuck wants to look like a middle-aged woman? Nobody. Especially not middle-aged women. That's why they get plastic surgery. So what the fuck are you doing adding them into the story that nobody wants to see?
And never let it be said that the drinker doesn't offer a helping hand to those in needs. So if I could offer a few pieces of advice, speaking as someone of the male persuasion here, I'd say they have to come to terms with a few realities about their situation. The first reality is that not everything you make can appeal to everyone, and nor should you try. Movies like Barbie and Top Gun Maverick are proof that when you target a specific audience and give them exactly what they want, without trying to dilute it down in the hopes of appealing to an even bigger market, you can and will make an absolute fortune. The second reality is that any project revolving around adventure, science fiction, technology...
If there's ever a story about an oath to your kingdom, an obligation to your family lineage or heritage, you having to uphold your honor against, you know, insurmountable forces, and there is gratuitous violence that is used in order to achieve those goals, you are looking at what I would call the male fantasy. That's for guys.
See, like say, ooh, I don't know, Star Wars and Marvel is probably gonna skew male. I don't know what to tell you, man, but men and women tend to be interested in different things, and no amount of social conditioning or deconstruction is ever gonna change that.
And the problem also is the toxic positivity that this culture is enforcing inside of workplaces. Because if you're the guy that says, you know what, maybe we shouldn't have a bald, fat, middle-aged woman replace the hot girl in latex that was in the previous movie in this remake. You get called a sexist, you get called a misogynist, you get called a bad person, and they destroy your character, and you end up getting fired, and you lose your career. That's the issue. That's where, you lose your job, right? Yeah, you're peer pressured into quitting, exactly. Did you enjoy, how'd you end up enjoying Frieren, even though it isn't aimed at guys? Because it's a good story, and truly beautiful and great stories will transcend gender boundaries. Like Lord of the Rings, like Frieren. That's the reason why. And also, it does appeal to men. Himmel the hero is great. Like, you've got tons of characters in that story. There's no men in that story that are just like these, you know, like basically feminist caricatures or minstrel plays of what a tough guy is supposed to be. Yeah, Stark is there too. Yeah, Stark he's not a loser. Like, he's a goofboy a little bit. Yeah, sure. But he's not, he's not a joke. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, exactly. And that's the difference. Yep.
And if they're your two biggest franchises that you're probably to resurrect and get profitable again, then you're going to have to accept that your primary demographic is men and cater the content accordingly.
Of course.
The third reality is that you need to bring back masculine heroes if you want to get a male audience back.
Wow, what a surprise. If you want to have guys watch characters or watch your show, you have to make the show about guys. Can you believe that? Wow, what a surprise.
And I'm not talking about the safe, feminized, corporate-approved Pedro Pascal brand of
It's just some gay shit, bro. Like, guys don't like that. I'm sorry, they don't. They don't. Like, I don't care what somebody wants to say. It doesn't sell. It doesn't fucking sell. It's obvious that it doesn't fucking sell. Stop trying to sell it. If you do, you're gonna fail.
That's basically just a woman with a mustache, but the actual male archetype of masculinity that's been practically outlawed in modern media. Men who are smart, capable, assertive, confident, complex, and maybe even a bit dangerous, who don't resort to verbal diarrhea or fold like a house of cards the moment a woman challenges them on something.
Exactly.
Those are the kinds of characters that men have been drawn to for decades, and guess what? Still are. And no amount of guilt-tripping or toxic masculinity bullshit is ever going to change that. The fourth and final reality is that everyone, men and women both, are fucking sick of girl bosses. They are, without a doubt, one of the most obnoxious products of modern culture. They've ruined practically everything they've been crowbarred into, and they have to go. That doesn't mean for 1 second that you can't have intelligent, complex, capable, and well-written female characters that push and rival their male counterparts. In fact, you absolutely should. But the days of one-sided contests where women always have to win to put men in their place, or invincible power fantasies that are either the writer's revenge fanfiction or walking inferiority complex, well and truly over. Women don't relate to them, and men, particularly young men that have been force-fed a diet of this crap for most of their lives, are actively repulsed by anything that has them in it.
Like, to me, whenever I see a character like that, like, there's a lot of things in video games, so, like, this is a good... Like, if I can't tell the gender of characters in a game, I immediately assume the game will be garbage. Unless, of course, this is something like Pokemon, and then I hope you're not able to tell the gender of the characters. But otherwise, I do. Like, and again, it's because nobody wants to see this.
Now, all of this stuff probably seems completely obvious and common sense to you, but fuck me, it feels like common sense is in short supply in Hollywood these days. But I think the big takeaway from all of this is that men as a demographic are not all that difficult to please. Treat them with a bit of respect.
That's the crazy thing, is that you're like, it's actually like, it's so easy to get guys to watch something. It's so easy to get guys to be interested in something. Why is it that you have to reinvent the wheel every time?
Give them the things that they enjoy, and you'll be surprised how quickly they come around. Like garbage. On the other hand, ignore and attack them, and well, I think we've seen where that road leads.
Yep.
Anyway, that's all I've got for today. Go away now.
Fucking based. I love this video. He's completely right. Yes, the entire film industry, and especially the like corporate film industry, has spent the last decade demonizing, delegitimizing, and caricaturing men as being retarded, and now men don't want to be told that they're retarded. What a surprise. And you should watch K-pop Demon Hunters. I don't know what the hell that is. Doesn't really matter how much we talk about it. Disney doesn't listen. It doesn't matter if Disney listens. That's the point that you're not getting, is that even if Disney doesn't listen, it doesn't make a difference because there are so many other people out there that are. So it's the same as like Blizzard. Oh, wow, Blizzard bad, Blizzard bad. You don't need to play Overwatch anymore. You can just go play Marvel Rivals. You just play another game, and now everybody is just doing that instead. So that's really what the difference is. The problem is that there have to be audiences and opportunities that are in other places, and now they are. Doesn't sound like liberal more every day, finding something to complain about with every corner. You say that, bro, like everybody says that, but this is a fact. This is the same thing I've been complaining about for a while. And also, like, the more you can't go, and I understand that there's a lot of like left-wing liberal people that think that, oh, if I use the word that you use against me, against you, you're going to agree with me. This is not going to work. It doesn't work. It's emotional manipulation. It's dishonest emotional manipulation. Nobody takes it seriously. It's not effective. Nobody believes it. It's just embarrassing. It's embarrassing, like, oh, wow, you're being woke because you don't like something, and like you don't like woke stuff. You're not going to use that on people and then have them actually capitulate to you. Now, they might think that it's funny and you might trick some people with it, but trying to do it is just, it's so blatantly dishonest that you're not going to appeal to anybody like that. So, yeah, that's it.